What's up, people out there in TV land? Welcome to the program. This is I love my country and I'm ashamed of my government. No, that's not it. I love Nancy Johnson and Joe Lieberman. No, that's not it. What is the name of this program?
Food for thought.
Oh, food for thought. Yeah. Hey, we'd just like to tell you we're here at Nutmeg Studio. We're having a blast. So what's the deal here? Over here we got Buzzy Zipwak, and we got the Dr. Don Doolittle, also known as Dr. Don Doomore here on the program. And I am Silly Way Out Willy. You got it? All right.
Yeah, I can tell that one.
All right. I hope you were with us last week for our program when we discussed who Aleister Crowley was, that wacky character. I hope you do a little research on your own and find out a little bit more about who he was so you educate yourself and those around you, so you don't have to tolerate those pile tricksters out there that you don't tolerate in your friends and your family. Woo! What's the program about today, fellas?
This guy right here.
Ah! Saved!
By him.
So what are we going to do here? How are we going to take off here?
So now let's see. He didn't tolerate the polished tricksters now, did he?
Oh, no. In fact, we can't really give away exactly what, those people did to him because the power he had. But, we're basically going to talk about this gentleman right here, his effect on society, and maybe, help you with your worldview and encourage you to, check this dude out right here. So let's talk a little bit about this here character.
Sure.
Some call him the Most High.
Born in the year 1?
Something like that. Some call him the King of Kings, Lord of Lords.
2 AD?
Some call him a trickster. Some call him a sorcerer. Some call him an outlaw indeed. He roamed across the land.
Dissident too. And I think
with
he
a
had
band
every right
of
to be a dissident.
He had a band of unschooled
Very
ruffians. Yep. Yeah. So who is this guy to you?
Jesus Christ.
Oh my goodness, who is that?
Out of the bag.
Oh geez. That's who we're talking about. Well, let's think about it.
Well, who besides him had a bigger influence upon the world? I mean, there's been wars over him, countless wars. One lasted over 100 years. How many have died in his name to not deny him? How many have killed in his name? Not that I propose or purport killing at all, but I mean, our history has been so influenced to the point now where when this country was founded, and that's something we're definitely going to talk about in future shows, the founding of this country, because, hey, this is America, and this is what this country is all about, what we're doing right now.
I would hope that today's program, we would get involved with why the United States of America and this character have a connection in the whole process of history and the evolution thereof.
You hear his name every day. I was playing softball the other day. And this guy made a bad play, and he said, Jesus Christ, and it was a church league. And I said, well, that's what we're all here for.
I like when people say that. I say, well, why don't you say Buddha? Anyway.
Yeah, I guess some people just like calling on his power without realizing it.
Well, why don't we just talk about personally how he's had an impact on our lives, and why don't you start there, Buzzy?
Well, let's see. 6 years ago, we were attacked. Now, the whole question...
What do you mean we were attacked? Who was attacked? You
not
were
6
attacked
years
by
ago.
what?
5 years ago. My experience starts a little bit more before that, but we'll go back to September 11th, 2001. The whole world changed before us, right before us. As you were watching TV, the world changed. Now, 2,000 years ago, you could say the same thing. That moment at Calvary, the world changed.
Indeed.
The devil
Except they
was
didn't
mad.
have TV back there.
No, they didn't have TV back then. They had to, he had what was called disciples. I'm sure many people know what that is.
What's that?
Well, now, if you want to talk to Noah Webster, he'll say a disciple is one who embraces the teaching and helps assist in spreading the teaching of another.
Quite right.
At this point, I like to consider myself to be a minor disciple of Jesus Christ because I do believe he to be the Son of God. Not belief, I know he is. There's too much evidence to dispute that. But you got to take the time to go research it yourself, to go out and seek the truth and question it. God's not going to fall off his throne if you ask him a question. Remember that.
Indeed. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Now, the funny thing about that statement there is that, people claim to know the way, and when you get into churches, there's all these different denominations and factions of churches, and everyone says, oh, come to my church, do this way, and I'll make you a cookie-cut Christian. Yay! And everyone's all happy. And, so everyone claims to know the way, and then every church says, oh, we've got the absolute truth right here. But let me tell you something. I've been to a lot of churches all across this country, and nobody has got a total grasp on the life. So if you're going to know the way and the truth, you got to have just what Jesus offered us. And what did he offer us? The abundant life. The abundant life.
Did.
You know, so, you know, we're talking about how he's impacted your life, and how did he get into your life?
Well, you know, on September 11th, I knew the world had changed, and I knew there was something wrong, and I know you can't believe what's brought up front. Since when I was a child, I had God fed to me with a backhoe. Do this, don't do that. You don't do this, you're going to go to heaven. You don't do that, you're going to go to hell, this and that. And that's been throughout our entire history.
Well, why don't you bring up your experience on the farm?
Well, that was kind of an occultish thing. Well, not occultish. It was a cult, though, because it was definitely separate from the people, live off the land, and be closer to God. Well, I got to tell you, God's right in the center of the sinners, trying to save them, because that's where Jesus Christ was. He didn't sit with the Pharisees and the scribes. He sat with the sinners. Yep. He sat with the tax collectors, and we're all sinners, folks. Let's face it. In a nation of 6 million laws plus, we're all guilty of something.
Well, let's talk about that term sin, because that has like connotations. You know, some people are like, well, look, it's religiosity. I don't want to deal with that. You know, sin basically has to deal with...
Well, the word sin is an Old English term from Bowman, the old English bow term for meaning missing the mark.
That's right. You know, if you're an archer, man, we've all missed the mark. You know, fallen short of the glory of God, and that's why we need grace, unmerited favor from the man himself. Mm-hmm. I like to say I get high with the Most High. Whoa.
Now this man here, his primary philosophy, to shorten it down to two, was to love your neighbors, you love yourself. Now, in the case of Aleister Crowley, the person that we did the previous show on, he was teaching love yourself, right? I mean, really, it was a very selfish type thing, because he wanted to do what pleased himself.
Indeed.
And it's all based on love. Now, the reason I wanted to do this particular show is because to show the extreme opposites of where we are. Now, when this country was founded, and right at the beginning, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Remember, God gives and God takes away. Now, what's happening in our country today, now, the Word of God, first of all, is never ending, never changing. It will not change, just like our Constitution is not supposed to.
Same yesterday, today, and forever.
And forever. You know, our Constitution is supposed to be the same way. So now all these people who claim to have rights, let me ask you a question. Now, this is why the show is called Food for Thought, because it's something to think about here. This is not one of those things you can just flip off your brain and watch the show and watch yourself melt into the couch. You know, you have to think about these things. If God giveth and God decides to take away, now this is something he's not going to take away, because this is what he made us. This is the basic foundation, the mold in which, you know, has never been broken, because we're going to constantly keep producing more people, and we're all endowed with the unalienable rights. What's an unalienable right? It means that no one has the authority to take it away. Yet our government certainly is trying to.
And that's another part of the reason we're here.
That's a big part of the reason we're here. And the best way, the most obvious way, is take a look at the Patriot Act. It's a 635-page document of laws. In the entire Bible, there's only 647 laws, I believe it is. A lot of it's Old Testament. Jesus narrowed it down to two: love your neighbors, and love yourself.
What were you just saying? The Patriot Act had how many pages?
It's either 563 or 635, one or the other.
Well, just to go along with what you're saying, how many new laws are made each year? Tens of thousands.
Yeah, on the average, I think it's about 2,000 to 1,500 at the state level, and 10,000 to 15,000 on the federal level.
Come on, let's think about that just for 1 minute, people, okay? All these new laws being made every year, that means we're all guilty of something, right? And it's just a matter before, you recognize it's a police state that we're living here in this country, and we're one nation under surveillance. You know, it's just to, open your eyes.
Now, when our country was founded, they were all Christians, maybe deists, right? But they were still all Christians, and they all recognized the basic principles and the freedoms in which God has employed upon us.
Now, what's